performance is Death or Liberty? Gabriel Prosser's reaction to the American Revolution. This truly is a momentous occasion in our state's history. Governor Kane has finally restored the good name of the revolutionary slave, Gabriel Prosser. As a scholar of the Jeffersonian era, I have been waiting for this day. 207 years have passed since Gabriel's revolt and quest for freedom. And Governor Kane has now acknowledged Gabriel as a member of the great American legacy of revolutionaries. We are, after all, a country founded in revolution, a fact already apparent to Gabriel way back in August of 1800. Gabriel and his followers considered themselves to be mirroring the actions of George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, and Patrick Henry. Gabriel's revolt was a reaction to the revolutionary philosophy of liberty and equality, and was a continuation of the fight for the rights of men left unfinished by our founding fathers. Gabriel's revolt was thwarted, but it led to reforms that changed the course of our state and our nation.
The hypocrisy to demand one's liberty and then to turn around and deny it to others. I thought this idea of liberty applied to all men. My name is Robert Cowley. They say I'm over 100 years old. I honestly don't remember. I knew Gabriel, as he'd visit me Sundays to discuss the business of freedom. I showed him where the stores of militia weapons were held inside the Capitol, as I am the keeper of the keys to the building. And I was old enough to recognize that Gabriel was going to need more than pretty words to lead his revolt. Gabriel and our army of slaves responded to the words of freedom with scythes and swords. We reacted to the chains of slavery, believing that it would be better to die as fighters for freedom than to die as chattel. You see, I served in our country's struggle for freedom with England. I saw the disorder of war. The white men claimed that they were fighting for the inalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness for all, yet they keep us in chains. Though I am a mulatto, is not my blood red like yours? Do I not believe in the same God that you believe? Our Christianity frees our souls. Are we not worthy of physical freedom as well? Liberty is the greatest of all earthly blessings. Give us that precious jewel, and you may take everything else. So under the banner of death or liberty, I decided to help Gabriel.
They ought to be immediately hanged, quartered, and hung up on trees on every road as a terror for the rest. Slay them all. Gabriel and his band of ruffians deserve no mercy, as they surely would have murdered us all. Those vile and impious wretches plan to burn the city of Richmond, massacre all the whites, and hold our governor captive. At least 1,000 slaves from all over this Commonwealth were involved, and some suspect that there may have been more. Governor Monroe has reacted with the state militia. Stationary patrols have been set along the river to protect us from Potomac. Virginia is in a state of confusion, and the country and world are watching. No part of our precious Commonwealth has remained untouched by this wicked conspiracy. We have a wolf by the ears. We can neither hold it nor safely let it go, but this is a matter of self-preservation. We are on the brink of a civil war. The election between Thomas Jefferson, a Republican, and John Adams, a Federalist, has ripped our country apart. The inability of the French to control their slaves down on the island of Santo Domingo, I fear, has spread to Virginia. our Virginia politicians should have enacted laws barring the entry of slaves from the island. And now they have infected my once content and obedient slaves with the malady of insurrection. So yes, slay them all.
The scale of justice was swift. The court of Oyer and Terminer quickly tried the slaves, and many were found guilty of conspiracy and insurrection. Most were put to death the day after their trial in downtown Richmond, in front of their families. In all my life, I had never seen anything like it. So many slaves were hanged that the state contingency fund began to run low. They were literally hanging more slaves than they could afford. Governor Monroe was quite nervous about the world reaction to hanging men who compared themselves to the likes of George Washington. He consulted Thomas Jefferson as to whether to give the slaves mercy or severity. They both were unnerved by the thought of dozens of men dying for no other crime than that of yearning to be free. The time had come to stop. There was a strong sentiment that they had been hanging enough. They thought that the other states in the world at large would forever condemn Virginia if they indulged a principle of revenge. 35 of us had been executed, and not a single white man had been so much as injured. Our message was clear, though. We had served notice that we would fight a revolution of our own for liberty.
As a reaction to Gabriel's revolt, Virginia decided to enact several reforms. These reforms became the laws of 1806. Imagine that you are a slave who has finally won his freedom. Well, under these laws, if you did not leave the state within 1 year of being freed, you would be forced back into slavery. Thomas Jefferson worked with Governor Monroe to find a homeland in Africa for the black patriots. This led to the creation of the American Colonization Society. States known to be refuges for freemen and runaway slaves passed laws that compelled them to leave the state. Although the reforms that came from Gabriel's rebellion initially restricted slave mobility, religion, and education, Nat Turner's rebellion and John Brown's raid on Harper's Ferry further advanced the cause of the revolution as they fought for freedom and equality. Gabriel's movement inspired the reaction of increased polarization between the North and South, which led to the American Civil War. The Civil War, in turn, produced the 13th Amendment, ending slavery and involuntary servitude. Gabriel's dream was never fully accomplished, but is a revolutionary link in the chain of the civil rights movement. In Governor King's letter to the Virginia chapter of the NAACP, he praised Gabriel Prosser for his courage and devotion to the fundamental Virginia values of freedom and equality. Kane noted that Gabriel's motivation in developing his plot was his devotion to the ideals of the American Revolution. It was worth risking death to secure freedom. Even today, we still see the reactions of Gabriel's revolt as we continue to fight for individual liberties and strive to secure the rights guaranteed to all Americans by the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. The Henrico magistrates had only hanged the man, but they could not kill the dream. Thank you.